It is a singular and wonderful pleasure to welcome back to De Anza and to the Foothill De Anza Community College District one of our own, a champion for us now in Washington. What I'm going to do is to introduce Martha very briefly, heavy emphasis on brief because we only have an hour. I'd like to acknowledge the members of the Foothill De Anza Community College elected board, the chancellor, the president of Foothill College, other elected officials from the area for your attendance, and to thank you all for coming. It's too easy to say Martha Kanter needs no introduction. So I'll say that and be done. Martha, would you care to come on out? So, here's the drill. Martha will have about 20 minutes for a talk and slideshow or longer. And then we will go directly to questions. There'll be mics here, and I'll establish that protocol. And so without really genuinely further ado, it takes me great pleasure, and it is a high honor to introduce again the Undersecretary of Education, Martha Kanter.
Thank you, everyone. Is the mic okay? It's working? Okay. I'm delighted to be here. It's been a whirlwind. I'm actually going back to Washington tonight on the red eye because our secretary is going to present the budget to Congress on Wednesday, and we have a whole day of activities there. So as you can imagine, it's incredibly busy in Washington as it is here, because all of the K-12 schools and higher ed institutions in the country are literally reeling from the kinds of budget cuts and challenges that I know well that you have experienced here at the Foothill De Anza District and elsewhere across the nation. And I'll show you some information that I put together for this talk. I want to make sure that the slides work. So let me tell you what I'm first going to talk about our overall agenda. And we've got a couple of goals that we're working on since I started 2.5 years ago, almost 3 years ago, July 1. And I can tell you I miss this community. And it's very important for the voice of the West to be heard in the East. And I really can't emphasize that enough for those of you who are elected officials or have leadership positions to really tell Congress what you think, how you're experiencing things, and what the stories are of what is happening here in the West, because it gets forgotten. And so it's very, very important that the voices from every part of the country be heard in Washington. And we know pretty clearly that the great ideas don't come from inside the Beltway for the most part. They're going to come from places like this where students are really learning what they need to learn, where the alignment between the community colleges and the universities are what they need to be. And we really need to make those points to everyone that we talk with. So our priorities are, as you might imagine, which is something I've worked on for many, many decades, increasing access and affordability. And you'll hear the president talking about college affordability as a huge challenge that those of us who were educated 40, 50, 60 years ago had affordability challenges, but not like today. So increasing access and affordability, increasing quality. We want students to get a quality education, and we have too many stories where graduation rates of institutions in higher education are below 10% or below 20%, and they've been that way for decades. So what are we going to do about that? How can we fix that? How can we increase the quality of an education and help students and families make good choices about where to go to college? There are 6,700 institutions of higher education. The community colleges have 13,000 of those slots. The for-profit sector is fast growing. It's 12% of American higher education today. We've got private universities, many, many liberal arts universities, and of course the flagships of the University of California and other research institutions. But you know, when you look at all of it and step back, you've got to say we've got to do better as a nation, because only 50% of students are graduating from college, getting their undergraduate degrees and certificates within 6 years, and that's not good. That is really a problem for us. So we are moving ahead on that agenda of access, affordability, quality, and completion. And you know, when you hear President Obama talk, he talks about higher education being an economic necessity, and I'll show you some slides about what that means, because we, in his words, want to have the best educated, most competitive workforce in the world. But we also, and it's caused us to commission a report called the Crucible Moment that I hope you'll all read. It's caused us to think about, what is this democracy going to look like in 5, 10, 15, 30 years from now? What are the hallmarks? What are the values of the democracy? And are we creating the kinds of citizens that will lead our country forward? I was fortunate to talk to the De Anza students right before. These are student government leaders. We had a meeting for about an hour. And, you know, what is the civic leadership that they can demonstrate here in the community for this college, for this region, for this state, for our nation, that is going to show that we have a well-prepared citizenry who can vote, who can provide leadership on school boards, who can become the next generation of leaders in government, as well as, you know, the private and public sectors. But we sorely need that leadership, and just would like to, I see some of the members of City Council and certainly my revered Board of Trustees, see many of you that I have missed for a very long time in Washington here. But we really need to think about the civic education of students and whether they are really contributing to the community in addition to preparing for the economy to be members of the workforce. So I really see it sort of two parts of this, because I really think that education for democracy builds the social fabric of our nation. So let me turn the first slide on that I brought, and hopefully this will work. Yes. So let me tell you about this slide. Shortly after taking office, and you see February, April, and just January a couple months ago, the president posed a goal for the nation. I call it an aspirational goal. It's very ambitious. But by the year 2020, could our country have the highest proportion of undergraduates in the world? And I'll tell you why that's important. But then this year in the State of the Union, the president talked about an America built to last and pointed out that it's more expensive to attend college today than it's ever been. And over the last 20 years, net tuition and fees has increased by about 135% in public universities. And, you know, I take a step back and I look at the Pell Grant program. Many of you knew Senator Pell, Claiborne Pell. The Pell Grant program is 35 years old. And, you know, 35 years ago when Pell Grant started, they paid for 2/3 of a college education. So people like Jay Jackman and others who graduated from undergraduate programs didn't have to carry huge amounts of debt. And today, it's people today where Americans are owing more on their student loans than on their credit cards. So we have got to change that. We have got to do everything we can at the state level and in our local communities and in our budgets and at the federal level to keep college affordable, and we'll talk about that. But a senior in high school today has seen the cost of full-time attendance at a public university nearly double in his or her lifetime. So, you know, when you look at that, we need everyone to work together to really address this big problem that is growing. Now, shortly after the State of the Union, the White House released a blueprint for keeping college affordable and within reach for all Americans. The president discussed this in detail when he went to the University of Michigan in late January. And then on February 27th, President Obama met with the governors of the country. And at that, he released a further blueprint called Education Blueprint and Economy Built to Last. And that's the one I put up there because it's the latest and most detailed report that hopefully you can get off the White House website. And if you can't, you know, Brian Murphy, we can get that to you to where to go to get it. And what he said to the governors, and I put this quote in my remarks, "Nothing more clearly signals what you value as a state as the decisions you make about where to invest. Budgets are about choices, so today I'm calling on you to choose to invest more in teachers, invest more in education, and invest more in our children and their future." And, you know, if I think about my short 42 years in education, and I look back and see what has happened in this state and in other states, we've built prisons. We haven't invested in the kind of education historically and for the long term that we're going to need. So we really need to be responsible for the investments we've made. It's not that people don't need to go to prison, but I look at 10 or 20% of people in prison, and I think if we had helped them when they were 0 to 6, if we would have helped them in elementary school or high school in different ways, if we had perhaps married social services and health services more directly with education over the last 30 or 40 years, would we have the same circumstance we have now in California? And then what does that mean to think ahead about that? So the report underscored the fact that over in the past 23 months, I'll take you sort of into the present, 3.7 million jobs have been created by American businesses. So when, you know, if you're asked, you're out there in the community, you know, how is the economy doing? We are going forward. I think you can say that pretty directly. And also, I should mention that I'm going to make all of these slides and my remarks available to you if you want them. They'll be either out at the web or you can get them from the president's office, so you don't need to take notes. But we have added the most jobs our nation has seen since the year 2005. And manufacturing companies have added jobs for the first time since the late 1990s. And I actually have I was just recently in Des Moines at Des Moines area community colleges and met with a manufacturing company that's doubling its size, and they had a great program for scholars. They were actually taking freshmen and sophomores from Des Moines, it's called DMAC, the community college, that's their short name, and giving them scholarships and work study. They were working 20 hours a week and actually getting their classes 20 hours a week. So it was wonderful, and every student gets a job going into that program. I'm going to actually do a blog about it because it's the kind of thing that, and when I get to a few more remarks, that you'll see, it's one of the reasons why President Obama has proposed doubling work study for the next fiscal year. That's the kind of thinking about bridging labor and education and how can we do things differently. So we need to get students going through, and it means that higher education isn't a luxury. It's an economic imperative, but it's also, as I said, you know, a social and civic and moral imperative. The facts are indisputable. These slides are from, let me just do the next one here. These slides are from Georgetown University's Center for Education and the Workforce, and I follow Tony Carnevale there. He does some great research. And this shows that between now and just 2018, so just 6 short years, more than 60% of our nation's jobs are going to require a post-secondary education. So if you're asked, does higher education matter? Does it matter to go to a community college to earn a certificate or a degree? Yes, it does, and here's why. And this next slide I'll show you is even more of a reason if people ask about economic questions. College graduates earn substantially higher salaries than those without degrees or certificates and are much less likely to experience unemployment. The unemployment rate for college graduates across our nation is half that of only those with only a high school diploma. And the difference in earnings is growing. And I'll take you back to 1979. This is the Bureau of Labor Statistics. All of these details are in the remarks. But a high school graduate in 1979 earned about 72 cents for every dollar that bachelor degree holders did. Today, they earn just 55 cents. And in fact, the disparity between weekly earnings for bachelor's degree holders and high school graduates is greater than both the gender and racial pay gaps. So put simply, if you ask economists around the country, they estimate that a student with a bachelor's degree will earn $1 million more over their lifetime than a high school graduate. And I say that's important to know when you're asked, you know, what does it mean for the economy of this state and other states across the country? You invest in education, students put back that investment in terms of an economy that starts to prosper, but you're also going to have students that are well prepared for citizenry, to be on school boards, to be teachers, to be the kind of community that we would like to see. Estimates from this same group at Georgetown say that at our current pace, we're going to produce about 3 million fewer college graduates than our economy is going to need in the next decade. And as you saw in the second slide I showed, that was a McKinsey slide. They ran some different figures but came up with the same challenge, that we're going to have a labor gap if we don't get more students moving through to earn their certificates and degrees. And worst yet, we have today 2 to 3 million jobs that are unfilled in our country. And that employers say they can't find well-trained individuals for those jobs. And I know when Dr. Miner, president of Foothill College, was offering the apprenticeship exams for students to go, and I remember the electrician exam, and these students, there were 40 slots, and I think you can only fill 9 slots with well-prepared students to become electricians. And I've never forgotten that, because we've got to get 40 students being ready for 40 slots for any slot that's going to be available to propel our workforce forward. We also have an international achievement gap, as well as an impending employment gap. So, as I said, a generation ago, we were first in the world in the proportion of college graduates, and today we're 16th. We're tied with 3 other countries for 16th in the world. This has happened just in one generation. And as you can see, declining state resources over the past few years have caused most of our post-secondary institutions, the 6,700 that I talked about, to significantly shrink their budgets. Dr. Murphy told me this morning that they've had about a 20% budget reduction over the last couple of years. That is a tremendous hardship on every institution in the country that sees their budget shrink and then has to turn away students who are going to move the economy forward and fill the jobs that I talked about. And just last year alone, the California legislature cut more than 13% from the higher education budget. As you can see in this slide, California is somewhere around the middle there. So we just have a few states that are keeping, sorry, it's not in the middle. It's down at the bottom, sorry. Well, compared to Arizona that cut 25% and New Hampshire that cut 50%, it's really, really tough. So we've got a persistent achievement gap as well. I'm just sort of painting a picture of the challenges facing us in our entire education system. So when you think about this and talk to people, we've got an educational attainment gap across the nation, and we've got to really look at this achievement gap and close those gaps. And the good news is there are colleges and universities around this country that are closing this gap or have closed this gap. But if you don't close this gap, we're going to see other costs go up in the budget going forward. And I think all of the work that these community colleges are doing to close that gap are really so essential to our future. We've got to get these gaps closed. And if you want examples, you can talk to the presidents here, the faculty here. How do you close a gap between a student who wasn't prepared to come in and a student who is prepared? Well, you've got to do double. You've got to give them remediation, and you've got to educate them so that they're ready to get those certificates and degrees that are offered here and other places across the nation. And as you can see in this slide, we have an income gap as well. So we know that students who are from the poorest families in the country are going to impact graduation. And that's why, we spend so much time on Pell Grants and on state aid in California. Really drying up state aid across the country is unconscionable when you look at the return on investment when you don't. Now, I talked about our 2020 goal that President Obama has talked about, and we look at, across the country, where are we? How can we get more of the 50% of students who aren't graduated with a certificate or a degree? And so if you look at the top 10 and the bottom 10, and you look at, I put California down at the bottom so you could take a look. This is the 25 to 34-year-olds. This is why we're 16th in the world, because we have in California an attainment rate of 37.6. And we've got an attainment rate overall of 42% President Obama has asked us to increase that attainment rate to 60%. And we can do it. Other countries are already there. We're playing catch up. But, you know, when you look at the differences between the highest performing states and the lowest performing states, what are they doing differently? Well, we've done some analysis in Washington to pull out the kinds of things that different states are doing. And, you know, the federal government cannot dictate that a state must do A, B, C, D, E, F, G. But the federal government can point the way in our shared responsibility to say states that align standards and assessments between high school and college will make it easier for students to go from one system to the next with better preparation. States that look at transferring to four-year universities from a community college and streamline the courses so that students aren't taking 10 to 20 to 30% of courses they do not need to get a certificate or a degree. That's a huge waste of money when I think about it. People say, well, we have to take those courses because we need to be enrolled full-time, or they're not offering those courses so I can't get them. Well, let's offer the courses students need and be much more targeted to tell students when they come in, here's the path that we want you to follow. And so if you go down this list, you know, some states are really doing a great job encouraging dual enrollment so that students that can move through faster do that. Students that can't get, you know, can get more help with the students that are moving through faster. Stabilization and financial aid, you know, a number of states are taking that on. And then a lot of work around adult education, you know, looking at adult education and streamlining that with higher education so that students aren't getting lost. So as I said, you know, what we want to do going forward, and we think of in the big picture, you step back, I have a map of the country in my office, and, you know, California's on the left, you're 10% of the country, and many people say where California goes, so goes the nation. California can lead the way. President Obama early on asked the community colleges to deliver 5 million more students with earning degrees and certificates between now and the year 2020. And that every American should at least have 1 year after high school of training or post-secondary education. So you'll see a lot of rhetoric, I call it rhetoric, with people in some of the research community saying, you know, college isn't for everyone. And I shake my head and I say, well, you know, most people want higher education or training. Training or education is for everyone. It's great if you want to be a plumber. Yes, we want, you know, being a plumber today or being an electrician is a very intense job. There's a lot of complexity. There's a lot of technology. You need post-secondary training. For people that get degrees and or certificates in healthcare, IT, some of the biotech industry didn't exist in 1990. You know, those careers are different. They're not training, they're education careers, but everything points to the fact that students are going to need more education to get us back to having the best educated, most competitive workforce in the world. And that doesn't mean other countries can't be there also, but it means we have lost our share. Now, if we specifically look at the rising price of education, this is a huge challenge for us. The price of college has increased faster than the median household income. Student loan debt has surpassed credit card debt for the first time ever. And we have students across the country graduating with a minimum of $25,000 in debt. If you look at the average students going across from this country, $25,000 in debt, leaving college. And so what we're asking people to do is take an approach that requires sharing of responsibility. So we want states like New York, and I'll talk about that in a minute, to find more ways to stabilize and predict funding levels and tuition for public institutions, and direct funding from our level, at the federal level, to institutions and systems that are providing good value, serving high-need students, and finding innovative ways themselves to constrain the cost of education. And we also think it's a problem that families and students themselves need to participate in. So we've got to help families make really good decisions about going to schools that don't have low graduation rates, that don't have, you know, that are providing high value and that are getting students through and do special things for what I call high-need students, that they're not going to lose a student because they didn't have the preparation they needed when they entered. And so the president is calling for new reforms in that blueprint I showed you to make landmark federal investments in higher education, really push this agenda of shared responsibility. There's a lot of focus on community colleges, as you might imagine, so I'll talk a little bit about that. And then we're working to really give students and families much better information than we have been doing in the past. So the first of these, and I call this just a tremendous gift that I was given, I think my first year in office, to look at the Pell Grant program and say, what do we need to do differently? So one of the good things was, if any of you have seen the federal student aid application, we cut half the questions out of the aid application. We just did that. We streamlined it. It used to take over an hour to fill out. It now takes 20 minutes. And I said, you know, our goal is to really have no application. If the government knows you qualify, why can't the government tell you you qualify? And so at the federal level, you learn that then you have to have the Department of Education work with the IRS, work with the Social Security Administration and figure this out. But it's absolutely doable. You just have to keep at it. And I think, you know, the first phase was to get rid of half of the questions. You know, the next phase, I'm hoping we can get rid of a lot more of those questions and give students perhaps a postcard. The good news was that we provided, when the president passed in March of 2010, the health care, people don't sort of think of, you think about the Health Care Act, but it was called the Health Care and Education Affordability Act. And the education affordability part of it was, again, to put in a strategy where instead of the Treasury giving money to lenders, then giving money to students themselves, we went from the federal government, the Treasury giving a check directly to students. And that cut out $40 billion. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Congress. Thank you. So what's happened since then? That was, you know, about two years ago. We have added 50%. We've had a 50% increase in the number of low-income students enrolled in higher education today. So in 2008, we had 6 million students who received the Pell Grant, thanks to Senator Pell, and today we have over 9.6 million students. So if you can do that in 2.5 years, you know, what does that mean for the nation? Because if you looked at that other slide about education and the economy and society, it bodes well for the future if we can make those kinds of improvements and keep the Pell Grant strong. Since we started, students have benefited by having over an $800 increase in the last couple years, and next year they would have, the Pell Grant would have increased to $900. But it's not without a lot of pain and sacrifice also, because they used to have a longer time to finish, to take advantage of the Pell Grant. So now the Pell Grant will have, students will have 6 years instead of 9 years to finish. Well, when you look at the data, we're losing 50% of students anyway in 6 years. If we can ramp that up, we're losing so few students after 6 years. And, you know, the Gates Department, the Gates Foundation shared some research with me last week. If by the age of 26 you don't earn a degree or a certificate, it's very unlikely you're going to do that. So a lot of focus, that's where they've put a lot of their focus, is on youth, on high school to college, and certainly on elementary school as well. But this shows you what you can do to simplify the student aid application. You know, we had a 12% increase in more students coming in and filling out the aid application. Somebody was telling me now we're up to like 22 million students this year that have actually filled out a federal aid program, you know, wanting a Pell Grant or a loan. And the other thing we're doing is implementing an income-based repayment program to help students manage their debt, to cap repayment of loans at 10% of your monthly income. And if you do that, it'll be more affordable for you to take a loan. And if you go into public service, if you want to become a teacher or a firefighter or a police officer, the loan forgiveness would happen in 10 years. If you pay your loan over 10 years, you would be zeroing out your loan totally after 10 years. So we think that's really reasonable for the high-impact teaching jobs that are going to be available over the next decade. We're going to be hiring 1 million teachers. And the other thing is the interest rate. In the Bush administration, the interest rate on direct lending, these are direct federal loans, has been at 3.4%. And they are due to expire in July. So incoming freshmen would have to pay 6.8% on their federal direct loan unless we can maintain the direct loan interest rate at 3.4%. So that is going to be a major challenge for us. It's set to double in July. President has asked Congress to continue this, but it's a very high cost to continue. It's about $4.5 billion to continue that. On the other side, we've expanded educational tax credits. So a lot of Americans may not know about this, but 9.4 million students and families did know about it. And families can get up to, depending on their income level, up to $10,000 over 4 years of college. So you finish the first year as a full-time student, you qualify, you would have a $2,500 tax credit coming your way. You'll get actually a check if you qualify at the lowest income levels of $1,000. That can help you with your next year and your next year and your next year. As I said before, doubling the work-study, the jobs that we're very excited about. Can we do things differently with business? Can we have more targeted business opportunities for students like the one I mentioned at the beginning in Des Moines? Can we ask the business community to come forward and tell us what we could do differently at our local institutions across the country by giving students really meaningful work opportunities to get them ready for the careers they're interested in. For us also, by now that you've seen, I've talked a lot about shared responsibility, but, the federal government can't single-handedly really guarantee college affordability or ensure quality or, make those strides on completion without really working with states, with the institutions themselves, or with students and families. So we've proposed a series of reforms that really depend on sharing responsibility. And it means not only having states do the things they need to do, but giving them the resources and the authority to do those things. And, waivers, you can see what's happening in the No Child Left Behind. We've given waivers to over 10 states now. 25 more states have come in asking for waivers. No Child Left Behind, you don't want to throw out the baby with the bathwater, but parts of it worked, and parts of it are just, have held teachers and students back. Too much testing, people are very frustrated about that, and too much bureaucracy in NCLB. So are there things we can do in higher education to streamline and give waivers and give states more authority? We've got to get over the challenge. We lose a high school student every 22 seconds. And, as I said, more than a third of children aren't ready for kindergarten. So we have to figure out the system is broken in some significant ways. And that's why, earlier we're granting the waivers, and we're trying to look at, can we combine funding streams? Can we take a pipeline approach, as I said, to really tackle higher education, K-12, and early learning at the same time? But we know that flexibility alone is not going to be enough, and that's why we're going to fight really hard to preserve the Pell Grants and to preserve college opportunity to the extent that we can. We want to put the Pell Grant on firm financial footing. We want to have Congress, as I said, make the American Opportunity Tax Credit permanent, and we want to give those work-study jobs to students over the next 5 years to really help students stay in school, be able to afford college, and graduate into those meaningful careers that they'd like, and prevent the interest rate from doubling. So states have a particular role to play. We hope to hold a competition among states to do the kinds of things that states themselves can do to look at the financing of higher education, can improve quality and completion. States and institutions within those states will have better answers than we would in Washington. But we also know that we have campus aid programs that are going directly to institutions for which students aren't getting the kind of value that they need and aren't serving high-need students as well as they need to. So we'd like to have a series of campus-based aid reforms that help schools who are doing a really good job and making improvements get the money that they can. Can we give that money not to the schools that are graduating students with a 5% graduation rate or a 10%? What are we doing there if students have a 1 in 10 chance of getting through? And give them to the high-value places that are really doing a good job, and people will say, well, it's the only choice we have. Well, if we don't do these kinds of things, students 1 out of 10 are, going to continue not to get through. So we've got to rethink this, and this is hard. The other thing, California has reduced support, as I said, for higher education in 1 year, 14%. It's at a time when the higher ed system is rapidly approaching 3 million students, and that doesn't count the students that you lost because you couldn't offer the classes that they needed. The whole system would have had far higher classes, far higher numbers than they have today. And California, though, has been a leader in a variety of areas. Early childhood reform, California just won a $50 million grant for early learning because of all the work that have been done in First Five and other programs around the state. Tremendous success going on in the K-12 system to raise standards. I can look at the work that San Jose Unified did to raise standards, academic standards, to put a college, a civic education component into the curriculum is one example. There are what I call islands of excellence all over this state and all over this country, but we haven't been able to scale what works, and we haven't been able to really transfer what is working here to a place where things aren't working. And California is not alone. We've got problems, as I showed you, all over the country. So to change that, we've got this sort of platform of I think, innovation funds at different levels. One for states, a race to the top, one for institutions, the campus-based aid reform, a First in the World fund to help tell institutions, can you compete for federal funding to increase productivity and increase quality and improve completion at the same time? What can institutions do if we open that door and ask them? I think we can do a lot. For community colleges specifically, one of the great things in the Healthcare and Education Affordability Act was a $2 billion fund for community colleges. And that fund, California won a $19 million grant for, I think it's the Central Valley, San Bernardino, and other schools to look at how can they really create the kinds of curriculum and partnerships and courseware that students will need to have a much more current workforce, kind of like a ramped-up Perkins, or for those of you that know the CTE. Skills for America's Future, another thing that President Obama commissioned. Penny Pritzker is head of the Hyatt Hotels in the country, and she really single-handedly pushed to say, what more can business do in this country to help education? So they're working really hard on that question, and you can take a look at Skills for America on the web. And then finally, in this year's budget for next year, the president has proposed $8 billion for community colleges. $4 billion would go to labor, $4 billion would go to education, to partner with business to do more than that first one, which is focused on trade-adjusted assisted act areas of the country where they've had the lowest employment, they've had the biggest unemployment challenges, but really to open up that door to everyone, to really look at the high-growth fields. You can read about that. You can look at what's happening in healthcare and robotics and advanced manufacturing. And as these jobs come back, we want to have the country ready to go. The other thing I said was that students and families need to do more. And for our part, we have to help students and families make better decisions. So we are going to publish a college scorecard this year. We're looking at, in the short run, doing a pilot test probably this spring, where we would show the cost of college. You'd compare Foothill and De Anza to other community colleges of like mind. We would look at graduation. We'd look at student loan repayment. We would look at debt. What is the average debt of students? And eventually we'll have in April, May, the earnings of all programs leading to gainful employment. So those are some what I call short-term metrics. We'd like to have more and more ways that families can really compare the kinds of programs that the students are interested in and make it easier. We also have a financial aid shopping sheet, which is a uniform letter that would make it much easier for students and families to look at different aid packages. So you could see if I go to College A, Stanford, for example, I have a a student at Stanford who got a full ride. He had been a homeless student for 6 years, and he got into Stanford, Harvard, and Yale and chose Stanford. I'm happy he made that decision. He's getting a full ride there. But many students don't know that. They don't know what the cost of a community college is compared to the cost of another place, if I want to go here versus there. So the financial aid shopping sheet will also make it much easier for students and families to compare different institutions. And then finally, you know, I put this slide up toward the end, and then we can open this up for questions. But this slide she's a 7th grader, and she would be a graduate in 2020. And, you know, the president said, this nation is great because we built it together. It's great because we worked as a team, and as long as we're joined in common purpose, as long as we maintain our common resolve, we'll move forward, and it's hopeful that our State of the Union will always be strong. And so I think, you know, when I think about her, and I think about her mother, actually, and I think about both of them being great people that would have an opportunity to go to college and graduate and do well, it's going to really be that shared responsibility to get her through. And, you know, she's in 7th grade now. Her mother is probably unemployed in the community. I'm just sort of making this up, or maybe employed in a low-wage job. You know, what is the role going to be of this institution, of Foothill, of De Anza, of the community colleges, of the universities, to work with the high schools, to work with the elementary schools, to get this pipeline fixed and have these graduates going forward so that they can be the 2020 graduates. So it's really thrilling to be back on campus. For me, it's all about creating an America built to last. We've got a lot of data. We maybe have too many facts. But we're happy to really provide whatever we can to all of you who really want to make a difference here so that we can get these students through. That's what it's all about. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Kanter, for a very inspiring talk. My name is Erwin Morton. I'm the Director of Legislation for PTA for the county, and we are working on funding issues and other issues for students at all levels. I actually have 2 questions. I'll ask them both, and you can choose one or answer them both if you think they're both important. The broad one is, how do we change the national conversation from we can't afford it to we can't afford not to? And then the more specific question, you mentioned in passing the for-profit colleges. And some of us, based on reports on television and other places, have had concerns about those and about what they're actually achieving and whether there is perhaps they're perhaps running a machine that puts profit in the hands of a small group of people and unresolvable debt in the hands of the students. And I wonder if you could comment about that and or about their success rate in actually helping you said it was 20%, I think, of the students in higher ed who are now in those colleges.
12%.
12%. That's a very large number. Thank you.
So first question, I'll be brief. Talk about shared responsibility. We can't afford not to invest in education. I think all of you in this audience, all of us have a responsibility. For our part, we have data. We can make the arguments, but there is nothing that is going to replace a one-to-one conversation with the leadership. And I mean the leadership up and down, not and across, not just locally or at the state level or at the federal level, but your voice is so important. I can't tell you enough that when you come to Washington, our doors are open. We return all our own email. We really want you to come and make those cases and tell those stories. You know, if I've learned anything from Marissa Spatafora, who is the head of public affairs here at De Anza, and other people, Kurt Hewig at Foothill and others, you know, telling that story about the experiences of students, about the experiences of the K-12 students that aren't getting the resources they need, or the experiences of an undocumented student who, thank goodness that, you know, they'll have a little more help this next year in California and other places around the country. But telling those stories really does matter. And I think, if there's anything you all can do about telling those stories, it's going to be incredibly important. But again, it's not for them to do. It's for every person to do. So really welcome those conversations. Now, regarding the for-profit sector, it's a vibrant sector. It's 12% of American higher education. And what we did was last year regulated for that sector so that any school, any community college or for-profit institution preparing students for certificates or degrees leading to gainful employment. So there's a definition, a federal definition. All the earnings of those students will be published along with the repayment rates and the debt rates. And so that's why, when I talk about that scorecard, I talk about open government and how important it is to package up information so that people can make a decision about where to put their money, where to invest. There are great for-profits and there are bad for-profits. There are great community colleges and there aren't so good ones. And there are great institutions of four-year institutions and not so good ones. But I think with that sector, it grew so fast and it has such a high take rate on the federal student aid that it came to the attention of government, and we said we've got to do something differently there. And so we think that the regulations that we've put in place, we've put a threshold on performance there, and institutions that meet that threshold will continue to do what they do. I think, it's up to everyone to just make smart decisions and get the information that they need. So thanks for those questions.
Thank you.
Over here.
Hi, I'm a student here at De Anza, and I had the pleasure of meeting with you earlier. And you spoke a lot today about, higher education really preparing the workforce of this country. And you spoke at our meeting in great depth about civic engagement and getting students involved in the community and really becoming student leaders and leaders in their community once they leave school. So my question is, should the conversation, the national conversation, change from being higher education all about preparing workers, or should it be about preparing engaged citizens and engaged activists in democracy?
Yeah, I think they go hand in hand. I mean, I think we have a stake in this democracy being vibrant. And unfortunately, we have gone back, and a lot of the data I showed you, we've got an achievement gap. We've got people that aren't leading that could lead. We've got talent that we're not taking advantage of. So I think any K-12 school, any higher education institution ought to be, having students convene conversations with faculty around democracy and how do we make a commitment to civic learning and democratic engagement. And we published a report, if you want to read about what scholars from across the country, we brought together 100 scholars to spend a year looking at everything that had been done in relation to civic learning. And these are professors in all walks, from community colleges to universities, and really worked together on this report, produced recommendations for business, recommendations for higher ed, recommendations for government. It's called the Crucible Moment. It's free. You can get it on the web. But it also, we said, well, since we commissioned this report, what are we going to do? And we have actually published a roadmap for civic learning that also is on the web, on the White House website, talking about 9 recommendations that we are going to put forward, one of which we're already doing. We're actually we have the Institute for Education Sciences in Washington. They are the research think tank for the country. They are going to do a call for proposals on research in civic learning. And does civic learning make a difference in student retention and persistence? I mean, are there things we could be doing in work study in ways that students can contribute to their communities publicly? Can they tutor in an elementary school? All kinds of ideas that we wouldn't have in Washington, but that you all have, where students can participate. And Brian Murphy and his colleagues have put together the American Democracy Project, which is a democracy commitment that I think you've got over almost 70 or 80 community colleges have signed on to make a commitment to look at civic learning and democratic engagement and figure out what is the game plan, what are students going to do, what are faculty opportunities, and what should the institutions be doing to really build the kind of civic platform that our country is going to need. We have, I think it's only 25% of people are qualified to go into the military now. I mean, we've got these tremendous gaps that, are just frightening when you look at at what we have to do today. But it's sort of like you just go forward. Yes?
Hi, my name is excuse me. My name is Christopher Queen. I'm a graduate student at New York University. It's an online program I'm in. You mentioned student loans, and I'm sure you're aware of the new legislation. The subsidized loans are eliminated for graduate students as of this coming year, 2012, 2013, and then on. So that's a little concern of mine, and I don't know what your take is on that. That's just the first question. The second question, I have a brother who's got a disability, and he's in the OPS program at Crucible College. He's actually doing the most improvement he's ever done because of being in the OPS program. What programs like this, how are they going to sustain into the future given all these cuts in California and across the country?
Well, the first question, as I said, there were some really tough choices, and it's not eliminating subsidized loans, it's the interest on those loans, that the interest would start when you're a graduate student, and you wouldn't have to start paying on the interest until you graduate, but you're going to start earning interest on your loan as a grad student. And that was, when Congress debated this, less of a hardship than cutting back the basic Pell Grant or cutting off other choices. But, I had a slide and it said, difficult choices, no easy answers. This was, a year ago when we started debating all these different programs. And, it's tough. It means you're going to have to pay more on your loan. That means graduate students are going to have to be smarter about where they make choices to go and really consider, the full cost. That's one reason why we're publishing the net price of college. That you read the papers and you see college is $50,000 or $60,000. You're at NYU, you know what that cost is. But the net price of you going to NYU is very different than the sticker price. And students and families don't know that difference. If you look across America, the average person really, it's too complex. The information is too complex. That's why on our scorecard, we're going to publish net price. And you'll be able to see what the net price is and make those comparisons. But yeah, it's tough on grad students. It's tough on undergrads. We cut back the timeline for the Pell Grant. It was a lot of really difficult choices. But overall, we're seeing a big increase in the students going. So, I wish we can do more. And I think, your ideas would be well regarded, and if you have solutions to this, let us know. There's only so much money. I'm hoping we end a war. We would have some more money to make some better choices going forward. But money. The other part of it is that money doesn't tell the whole story. We can use the money we have much better, much more efficiently. If you look at McKinsey's latest reports, we probably could increase productivity at any higher education institution by 10 to 30% if we focus on time to degree and remediation. If we do a better job, why this country has not tackled literacy is beyond me, but we have got to tackle literacy. You had another question about
4 more minutes.
Okay.
The question I had was on EOPS. What's the legacy of, how's that going to go forward?
Well, cuts to EOPS and students with disabilities is really a matter of state. State priorities that I mentioned in my remarks. So I think, again, that's where your voice is very critical to maintain the programs that, have been the hallmark of educating everyone who would be able to afford and want to go to college. And I think that's been a hallmark of the Foothill de Anza Community College District and many other institutions of higher education. That's why EOPS and DSPNS started. So again, I think the advocacy for those students and some of the student questions about, what can students do, I think students need to be that voice to say we matter and we deserve an education just like everyone else.
So my question is actually pretty quick. I'm actually one of those anomalous statistics. I'm 30 years old. I'm not going to finish my degree until I'm 32.
But you're going to finish.
Yes, I am definitely going to finish. And I look forward to the day when I can get my PhD.
Yeah, so she's on track. This is what we want for everybody.
So my question really is about when I hear things like, on average, most students who are over the age of 26 will not complete college. It's very discouraging for me to hear those statistics. So what is being done to try to encourage people who don't have a higher education to get that education if they are older?
Okay. Well, one good thing, I should have mentioned this, but I have so many facts in my head, and I try not to just glaze over sometimes. But one great thing is I found out, that we have an authority in the federal government to experiment. So we can, which is unusual. So we can use a portion of federal student aid funds to conduct experiments. So this year we're conducting an experiment to give Pell Grants for short-term training for low-income students to see whether that short-term training would help a student get a job or move up in a job and be a segue into more education, more higher education. So that's one example. We have, if you step back and look at the country, we have 93 million adults who are low-skilled in this country. And shame on us for the last 50 years to produce that. I did, my first month in office, I was fortunate to go with President Obama to Warren, Michigan, to Macomb Community College, and talk to 50-year-old folks who had been on the assembly line for 25, 30 years and had literally nowhere to go because they didn't have the literacy skills. They couldn't do the math to transfer from the automotive plant to the robotics plant that was being built next door as the automotive plant there was shrinking. So it's really tough, and we don't want to repeat that with this generation. We cannot repeat that, which is why I said literacy is so critical. But we've got to reach out to older adults who want to come back. That's why what I said about the adult education programs, actually working closely with the higher ed, the community colleges especially, so that the head of adult ed and that the head of the community colleges can work together and say, what can we do with this money together that we have today in the two-year colleges and the adult ed programs to get more of our students literate and ready for that entry-level job or ready to enter, higher education programs, their general ed or their career vocational technical programs that we're going to need. And then finally, we're going to be publishing a blueprint for career technical education. I should have put in that the president has proposed $1 billion for establishing K-12 career academies with Perkins funding that would actually be a segue into the community colleges and a way to really bring up or update the career vocational technical programs that are sorely lacking in K-12 and the help that's needed to build capacity in higher education. If you look at the two new buildings going up at Foothill and De Anza, that's going to be adding more capacity for students, and you want to have first-class facilities in the vocational career technical fields for those students to participate in. So thank you very much.